Hey guys, how are you doing? Okay, so for this video, what I want you to do is I want you to open up the PowerPoint that is with this module in the first week. It's called Week 1 Introduction, Anthropology 1. And that PowerPoint is basically going to describe the project that I want us to do for this week. This is one of the 5 small-scale science projects that we have, and I'm doing it, each one is worth 20 points, and I'm doing this as a way to introduce to us the concepts behind anthropology and how we think, okay? So, uh, you know, the main goal of this class is trying to get us to understand why we are the way we are, okay? And to do that, we need to know 4 things, as I've said before: how evolution works, like Charles Darwin explaining it, uh, how evolution works in primates, our closest relatives, how the history of the human lineage comes about, fossils, and then lastly, how it shapes natural selection, shapes our human minds, our bodies, and our behavior. Now, this is critical. So I move on to the next slide, because evolution is constantly shaping modern humans, or at least we think it is, right? And so what's important here to understand is that these adaptive processes are taking place right now, or at least we think they are, and we want to test that. And that's what this small-scale science project is about, okay? It's this idea that biology and behavior are interlinked, and we have to understand how these interlinks take place. I mean, we all know kind of that evolution, things are changing, taking place in our environment. We have global climate change, etc. How then is our behavior and things we're doing affecting our biology in a sense of our physical characteristics? Okay, so that's kind of the main aspect. So there's relationships between these two. So in order to do that for this, our first science project, we're going to do what we call the wisdom tooth study. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to find 5 people or more, doesn't matter, maybe 10, doesn't matter, and ask them a very simple question. And it's about their wisdom tooth. Now, wisdom tooth is the molar in your teeth at the back of your mouth, right? You have your incisors, you have your canines, you have your premolars, and then you have your wisdom teeth in the back. Now, there's one in the way back that some people have and some people don't, and other people have it taken out by a dentist because it hurts so much, right? So all I want to know is 3 things. Whether it's one of 3 categories. Whether they have them and they're fine, never had a problem, it's just there and it's okay. Whether they had them and they've been removed by dentists because it's been so painful. Or the third, whether they don't have them and they're not coming in, and they don't foresee that it is ever coming in. Okay, so these are the 3 things. Then what I'm going to do is ask you to go to the Google Documents online, and that's being explained within the module, kind of how to get to it, the link to that web page. And I want you to place your data into that, okay, so that we can all look at it, we can all analyze and see what the data says. Okay, so we'll gather all this data. Maybe there's maybe I don't know how many different people will be looked at, but hundreds, I'm assuming. And normally for my class, face-to-face class, I do this in the classroom, and we have the data up on a board. Here it's better even, because we're going to have more data, and now you can sit down and think about it a little bit more and what it means. Okay, so if you go to part 2, I want you to answer 5 questions. Now these 5 questions are going to be submitted as a document to me through the etudes, so I can grade them. First thing I'm asking is there variation? Do you see variation? Second thing I'm asking is do you see within this variation that there is an adaptation taking place via what we call selection? So you have to go look that up, figure out what that is. I'm being intentionally very vague right now because I want you to learn as you're doing this. Okay. So is there an adaptation? Do we see differences? And then the third one, maybe perhaps, do we see the wisdom tooth coming or going? And maybe check out earlier ancestors, primates as well, and see what their wisdom teeth are like. And then fourthly, if there is selection taking place, an adaptation taking place? Why do you think this is taking place? And then lastly, do you think this would affect survival overall for mankind? Okay, so that's that part of the assignment. And then the part 3 of the assignment is to question you about how you would expand this study. Now, see, it's probably frustratingly limited to you. There's only three questions you can ask, or 3 data points there, whether they have them, they had them removed, or they don't have them at all. Is there something else you need to know? And how would you change the study? How would you extend the study? And so what I want you to do is formulate a hypothesis about what you're seeing based on the data, and then tell me what methods you would use to gather more data. Okay, how would you expand the study? And then lastly, what are your expectations when you gather that data? What are you expecting to find? Okay, and that's what science is. It's a way to gather data and come up with some expectations. Now, I'm being very vague here because I want to see what you guys come up with. Okay, and with all that, we can then kind of enter into a discussion next week and online with all your results. Okay, thank you.